Can you drop body fat while still enjoying your social life? So many people think it's one or the other, when in reality, you can definitely do both. Now, there is an important disclaimer, and without trying to be a party pooper, when you're in a fat loss phase, you do need to restrict, and it is hard to have your cake and eat it. So what I mean by that is, it's hard to go out to the same extent that you would have done eating and drinking whenever you want and expect to see fat loss occur. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. But you can definitely still enjoy yourself while remaining on track with your weight loss goals. So step number one for me would be try and reframe your mindset. This fat loss phase that you're in at the minute isn't forever. It's a short-term period of restriction where we have to say no more often than we'd rather say yes. So that means if you are going out to a restaurant, probably makes sense just sticking to one course rather than two or three. Probably makes sense choosing a lower calorie dish rather than the nicest thing in the menu. It means being mindful of your alcohol consumption, and if you are having it, again, choosing the lower calorie options. So once you reach your end goal and you've achieved your body composition targets and then your calories are back to maintenance, when you've got extra calories across the week to enjoy, it's much easier then going back to the restaurants and maybe having some of the higher calorie dishes. Yes, you still have to be smart with how you distribute the calories across the week to ensure that that's not pushing you over. But essentially, the restriction we're having to adhere to in the deficit or in the fat loss phase isn't what is needed in the long term to sustain the result, if that makes sense. So once we've established that, we know this whole fat loss phase thing isn't forever. It's a short-term period of restriction. How do we still enjoy ourselves if we have got a meal out or a night out coming up? So one thing I would encourage my one-to-one clients to do is to calorie bank at the start of the week if they know they've got a big event coming at the weekend. So let's say you're losing weight on 1,500 calories and you think, right, I've got this meal out on Saturday night and I'm probably going to struggle to stay within the budget. What do you want to do then is look at your calories across the week and see, right, can I maybe reduce them a little bit from, say, Monday or even Wednesday or whatever? So if you're taking 100 calories off your total from Monday to Friday, and that means by the time Saturday comes around, you've saved an extra 500 calories. So not only do you have your 1,500 calories to enjoy on Saturday, you also have 500 on top of that. That can definitely make it easier for you to enjoy the meal out and still be within your budget across the week. So what I would do then is look ahead to Saturday and see, can I plan ahead or even pre-log this day in advance? So again, with one-to-one clients, what they often do is they'll send me over the menu of the restaurant that they're going to, and I'll give them my 2 cents on what might be a good option or what calories would be in certain things in the menu. Now, if you're trying to be mindful of your calories, you want to choose something that has a lean protein source. So say the likes of a chicken fillet that isn't breaded or battered, some fish, again, not breaded or battered. Beef can be hit or miss depending on the cut of it. Like often people would think steak is a really good option. And it's not that it's a bad option necessarily, but it can be quite high. Like a standard 8-ounce fillet from a restaurant could be $5.50 plus. So that can pack a decent punch. You want to even be mindful of your sides. So a standard serving of chips, sweet potato fries, champ, garlic gratin, they're always in around the 500, 550 mark in a restaurant. Whereas a side of roast veg, if you ask for it with no added butter or no added oil, you could be talking 100, 150 max there. So if you're making that swap alone, you're saving the guts of 400 calories potentially. So once you've identified, right, I'm gonna go for this meal here, I'm gonna go for the hake with the side of roast veg, and I'm estimating it to be coming into around maybe 500 calories or 550. If you go ahead then to Saturday and you pre-log that into your food tracking app, I use MyFitnessPal with one-to-one clients. So let's say you pre-log that in there. You'll be able to see then, right, well, of my 2,000 that I have for Saturday, 550 is gone on the meal. Let's say it's been a long week and you fancy a few drinks as well. Again, you pre-log that in too. So you pre-log in your 3 glasses of red wine and it's coming to maybe 140 a glass. You'll see then on Saturday, right, before I eat anything on that day, that's the amount of calories that are gone. So from there, you want to work backwards and see, right, how can I fill in the gaps essentially? And what you want to do is essentially get to that meal out on Saturday with enough calories in reserve to enjoy the meal that you've just inputted. So simple things you can do maybe are skipping your breakfast or even pushing it out by an extra couple of hours. So by pushing that meal out, that's going to have a knock-on effect then on your lunch. Maybe make it away with something smaller there, or maybe make it away with even just like a protein yogurt and a bit of fruit before it. For those earlier meals like your breakfast and your lunch, I would be choosing meals that have a good protein to calories ratio. So what I mean by that is meals that have a high amount of protein for a relatively low amount of calories. With the extra protein, you're going to be kept full, meaning it'll be easier to get away with consuming less calories. So a good breakfast option here might be 250 grams of Greek yogurt with some fruit, or an egg white omelette with turkey rashers or bacon medallions along with it. For your lunch, again, if you're thinking high protein source, relatively low calories, you might go for a chicken fillet with some mixed salad. Or if you have your breakfast later on in the morning, you might find, you know what, maybe I'll just get away with a protein yogurt and a bit of fruit here. Now, another handy tip when you're in the restaurant, now obviously if you've chosen a relatively low calorie meal, you should be okay here. But if you feel, right, I'm still maybe teetering on the edge of going over my budget for the day, then when you're eating your meal, I want you to be really mindful. So really take your time, savor every bite. You could even look at putting your fork and knife down after you take a bite. But then towards the end, just be mindful of your level of fullness. And if you feel that, right, I'm quite full here, but there's still food in the plate and maybe I'm likely to keep picking, then pick up your napkin, cover your plate and say, I'm full or I'm stuffed. loud enough so the people around you at your table can hear you. Now obviously if you're with your partner or your family, you don't need to be too concerned about doing the like of that, but it's a handy way of sort of mentally finishing the meal, if that makes sense. As in, once you've covered the plate with your napkin and said that, it's highly unlikely then that you'd pick the napkin up and start eating again. So it's a sneaky way of keeping us on track. Now the following morning, you can pretty much guarantee the scales will be up. Now don't panic, that's not you being punished for having a meal out. All that is a wee bit of water retention. Chefs love salt, and nearly every meal out you have, whether it's a dinner, breakfast or lunch, there likely will be some added salt there. And with extra salt, there will be some water retention. So if the scales are up, that's all it is. Within a few days of normal eating, they'll come back down again. And then the following day, just get straight back to it. Don't feel you have to punish yourself or undo anything. If you have done your planning to a good level earlier on in the week, you should be fine anyway. So just stick to your normal meals and you'll be absolutely fine. So hopefully you find this video useful. I know it's been a short one, but I wanted you to be able to take the information from it quickly and then apply it to your own circumstances. See you in the next one.